Hello, beautiful air signs. Welcome to Team Joanna. My name is Joanna. If you are new, welcome. I hope you stay. I hope you enjoy what you hear. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. I do this essentially for you. So these are going to be messages for the month of June, for the sign of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And I will go and do the general message first. And then each individual sign will have its own debut, so to speak, towards the end of the video. The main message is what will make most sense to you, and it will give you a meaning to the individual message. So if you listen to one or the other, you may not be getting a complete picture. Actually, thank you for saying that. That actually makes sense to me. So I was just asked to say that. But before I move on with the messages, something I want to share with you, something I'm very, very, very excited about. For those of you who are not on our private Facebook page, Joanna the Healer, I with two other beings who are on the Facebook page, have created an academy. We call it Higher Consciousness Academy, where it's basically a space that we will, where we will create a lot of content in order to offer it to you. So, if you are interested in that, these could be courses, this could be literally anything. We're basically creating a platform in order to offer material, to offer anything and everything to do with higher consciousness, self-awareness, and self-realization. And if you would like to know about that, or want to know more, pardon me, about that, the link is right down below. So if you're interested to know more, the link is below. For those of you who are not on our private Facebook page, I also included the link below. It's a private community. I think it's 3,700 members we have right now. And it is a space where we get to share, support one another in a loving, compassionate, and peaceful ways. So if you're not a member yet, click down and subscribe, or click down and it'll be taken to that page. And of course, if you would like to have a session with me, whether it's healing, energy healing, or more cognitive, more understanding, that information is down below. And without further ado, let's get started. So first and foremost, the energy I want to describe to you is like, come on, let's pick up the paces. It feels very on point. And I feel for some of you, you may have felt that towards the end of May. So some of you may have felt that at the end of May. And this may have been symbolized by you either letting something go, or something letting go of you, or something needing to part ways with something. So chances are quite a few of you have parted ways with your employment, or where you go to the gym, or because of what we are faced with in terms of globally speaking, there's been some changes implemented, and everyone has been affected to some extent. But where was I going with this actually? I don't even remember where I was going with this. Oh, yes, okay. And the precision, the feel of that energy and its potency. Some of you may have felt that in the month of May. The main thing that comes across for the general message is actually really interesting. It's about releasing a lot of guilt. And I thought, wow, that's pretty darn specific. And we as species, human species, hold a lot of guilt. And some of it is guilt from our past, which we don't remember. So it is on a cellular level. And guilt is like an anchor. It will hold us back. So I feel like over the next little while, particularly because we're having all these eclipses, and there's one coming up, I believe, in the beginning of June, and the energy feels very similar to what I'm describing with you. So maybe that's why I feel the energy is so precise, because you are influenced. Air, of course, duh. That makes so much sense. See, I get epiphanies all the time. I'll be in the middle of a conversation with a client, and I'll get a download, an epiphany in that moment. And it's almost like a charge. Anyway, where was I going with this? The energy for the month of June for you air signs feels very solid and competent. That's a good way of describing it. There's no fuzziness, there's no soft edges. It's just it's just concrete information, like blocks of information, almost cold and removed. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. To me, it says as energy, it has the potential to deal with the big things that are foundations, things that need to be solid. This energy has the potential to create a much more solid foundation over the next month or so. And somehow the eclipses will be releasing us from releasing us from whatever is holding back, whatever was holding us back. And that was actually a message that I just did for the weekly. So the energy seems very similar. Maybe it's the same energy, makes perfect sense. Point is, this is what I see for you guys as an air sign, which tells me there is a tremendous opportunity for shift and change. This month, for some reason, month of June, is very potent. There is so much that we can, as species, do and create in this energy. And I don't know how to describe it other than this is the best way I know how. So what I'm saying here by this is take advantage or take the opportunity of the potency of this energy right now, because it feels like it's charged, like the air is charged. And what does it mean, charged? Electric. There is flow. It's in motion. It's very potent. For example, if you have been trying to rid yourself of a smoking habit and you've tried it before and it didn't work, right now, over the next 2 to 3 months, and particularly in June, between June and August, if you give yourself the permission to let go of smoking again, chances are very high that you will be successful at being a non-smoker for the rest of your life. There's something very potent, okay? But at the same time, it means letting go of a bad habit. So there is almost like this energetic exchange when we are leaving some things behind. And as a result of leaving that, we get something that's much, much better. And a lot of that is going to come through us shifting our focus. And when we feel guilty, for example, our focus could be aimed at something we really, really want or desire, but the guilt will make it less potent. It'll hold back. It'll not allow you to be as not creative. Guilt holds you back. Let's just leave it at that. I think that's a pretty simple formula everybody will understand. So let me go through some cards. I'm using new cards. Did I say that already? If I did, my apologies. I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. These are called Sacred Spirit Animal cards by Anna Stark. Absolutely love these cards. So I will be using these cards in terms of the energy coming up. So what is the energy for air signs for the next month or so, June? We have Open Intuition, which landed kind of sort of sideways. And we have clear and activate. So basically that's kind of how it landed. See if these cards speak to you. So basically it's the energy of one is closed and one is completely open. So it's the opposites. And let's talk about each card individually. For those of you who have not felt intuitive, or you don't feel you are intuitive, whatever was holding you back from experiencing your intuition, because you are an intuitive being by design. Your intuition will be more visible to you, or audible, however you will experience it. So what this is telling me is that, intuitively speaking, you are moving to a space and time where a lot of your life, if not most for some of you, will be intuitively guided. Now think about what that means. For an air sign in particular, what does it mean? It means you're not in your head, and your head is not ruling your life. Not that it's a bad thing. Head is there for a reason. We need logic. It is absolutely important to have logic. But this is where we're going, which means intuition over analytical. Not that the analytical is being dismissed, but there is at least a collaboration. For our air sign who is in the head a lot, that to me is a big ass change. That is a transformation. That in itself, it's like, that's transformation. So think about that. If you are an air sign, and you are, because you're probably listening to this, what does that mean to you? Can you imagine being less in your head and more in your knowing, in your body, and actually be okay with that? And And you want to stay there. It's get comfort with it. For an air sign, comfort is in the analytical department, hence air sign. Not that it's a bad thing. It's no bad or good, it doesn't exist. And what does clear activate? Oops. If you are not clear, then you can't see. So this energy is about helping you. Actually, I'm an air sign as well, one of my dominant ones. We are moving to more clarity. What is activate? What's the opposite of activate? We could say asleep, right? So this energy is about becoming more clear and more awake. Now, I don't know which one comes first. Do we awake first and then we have the clarity, or do we have clarity first and then we wake up? That's actually interesting. That's my conundrum. Never thought about it. That's something a head person would do, and I'm a head person. Wow. So because I'm an air sign, I have Libra in one of my houses, big houses. I am a lot in my head. That's where I overanalyze. Yet I'm clearly very intuitive. Otherwise, I couldn't do this work. Yet I'm still in my head. That tells me that whatever my intuition says is probably wrong. So for me to hear that, yes. It's like an example. Somebody has a contusion, and as a result of this contusion, they forgot that they're not confident. And they just start doing things in a confident way because they don't have the non-confident part holding them down or back. It's kind of sort of like that, except nobody's gonna hit our heads. At least I hope not. Don't go doing that. But it kind of feels like we're waking up from amnesia. It's really interesting energy. Now, some of you will have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I partly don't know what I'm talking about. It's just flowing out of me. And some of you will say, oh yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And you'll give me all the reasons why, zodiac sign or whatever, or astrology is like, oh, okay. But there is something quite instrumental happening. Something that has the ability to make a mark. and make a mark. Make this time like it really mattered. Like it really mattered. Take advantage of this energy. It's big ass. And I don't feel it's just June. I feel this is we're gonna continue probably until the year end. This whole year is interesting to say the least. So expect this energy to kind of be around us for a while, but these are some pretty remarkable times as we know it already. So, Nurture card came up when I said, what's going on here? What are we having issues with? Issues, right? And that's when I heard guilt. So some of you have been holding on to guilt. Okay? The guilt could be from your mother. The guilt could be because you feel undeserving. The guilt could be because someone shamed you. The guilt could be from anything and everything that you've ever experienced. And what is it about this guilt that I want to say to you? I'm going to show this to you again. It's like what I want to say is this, and I don't know why I want to say it this way, but I want to say guilt is really, in a sense, a fear. Perhaps a fear of not being worthy, or not being good enough, or that's what guilt is. Kind of, sort of. So if you have guilt, and guilt is a fear, what are you afraid of mostly? And what I just heard was rejection. So, some of you fear rejection. And that's interesting. I don't know how that's tied to guilt, but right now as I'm saying this, I'm having a slight deja vu moment. That's really remarkable. That's just, oh God, I love when that happens. I'm telling you, the energy right now is just out of this freaking world. So, going back to rejection. Fear of rejection causes us to hide. What happens when we hide? We only half exist. What happens when we half exist? We feel unfulfilled. What does unfulfilled really mean? To me, unfulfilled means to not be myself. There's other things, but ultimately, that's what comes to me. Your connection might be different. I feel like they're saying, use this next month or so to collaborate with yourself differently. Now that's the way it's said. It's brilliant. If you're having a conflict inside of yourself, one feels shame, guilt, the other one wants to experience life. What's one way to resolve a conflict? It's compromise, right? Either one party gives up or compromise. If you are looking at this opposing thing that you are fighting, that you are in conflict with, as something you can, collaborate with, how would the two of you collaborate in order to arrive at the same outcome? And this is a conversation I feel you're going to have with yourself at this particular time of your life. Why am I here? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Or your purpose? A lot of things are coming up to question. And that makes, again, perfect sense to me, because these questions expose certain inner dynamics feel like this is a big time of deep work. What are we leaving behind? Lack of focus. If you felt unfocused for quite a while, heck, you may have been unfocused all of your life and you don't even know it. It's kind of like waking up in a fog or being born into a fog and you never see the clear sky. You think that's what sky looks like. You don't think that's a fog, but that's not what sky is. That's fog, blocking the sky, right? And in order for you to see the sky, you have to somehow look past the fog. I feel like we are looking past the fog right now. We're finding a way to look past the fog. I love this analogy. And each person will find a different way of looking through that fog. And what that does is looking through the fog, seeing behind the fog shifts and changes perspective. I think this will explain. The reason why we're going through these energies is so that we can come into a more of a space of inner knowing. What is inner knowing? It's to know yourself. We are in a process, we're in a transitioning process whereby we can know ourselves more. So it's an important time, and June marks the middle month of the year, or marks middle of the year. It's like this transitioning point. The first 6 months was certainly very interesting, and let's see what the next 6 months is going to be as a result of the first 6 months. It's like there is this, almost like a midway point, where we need to choose or decide which way do we go. Do we stay or do we move forward? Of course, we can't just stay. Everything always moves forward. What I'm talking about is how we choose to live going forward. There is an opportunity to sift through some of the foundational crap. I'll use that language, even though crap is useful. Okay? So if you've been feeling unfocused, or if your focus has been misaligned with your intention, then you are certainly on a way of letting go of that. Okay? There's a lot of creative energy, a lot of transformative energy, a lot of angry energy. So let me just tell you what I feel with this. The swan is creativity. There's a lot of creativity pouring through right now. And it's interesting how it's shown to me, because there's all this stuff going on, all this chaos. And through this chaos, there are these portals where new frequency comes in. It's like, but we're not focusing on that, because we're focusing on something that's happening in front of us. I don't think I can explain it any other way. This is a very potent time. So going back to the basics. If you've always wanted to change something about yourself and make it reasonable for yourself, being reasonable doesn't mean you can't. Being reasonable means make reasonable steps so that you don't set yourself up unnecessarily. Everybody knows what that means. Let your creativity guide you. Now, for a person who is in their head a lot, again, that's a lot to ask for. I hear you. But again, you are moving into being more of this intuitive part of you. And intuition is creativity. Those are linked. I love seeing this. Absolutely love seeing this. It also says that emotionally we are becoming much more flowing. What does that mean? We're not holding back as much. everything we're experiencing is on some level connected to being held back or how we hold ourselves back. Okay. To see this come through as an energy and has a positive energy on us, this is where we can focus on our intuition or on our creativity. I love that. The bat is big ass transformation, and it's transforming the thought. Transforming the thought, and you know how challenging that is, right? The redness to me represents stability, security, safety. So a lot of the transformation is about sheer survival. The bat is a creature that sees perfectly well in the dark. As a matter of fact, that's where it sees the best. And that's because he or she has an incredible sensory perception. And this transformation speaks to becoming much more sensitive being, more tuned in other than with what you can physically see. This transformation that's taking place, it's allowing us to be much more in tune, much more in tune. So it's not just seeing physical, it's much more subtle. Wow, fantastic energy, absolutely fantastic. The hyena is a bit of a temper, anger, any suppressed anger, anything that's suppressed, but particularly anger, resentment, because that's heat. If you hold on to anger and resentment, it will start burning your physical body. You will experience a physical manifestation of that heat in your body because it's not channeled out. So there's an opportunity to release that. Any held up anger or pent up anger or anger that we're holding on to, and sometimes we're not even aware. Again, anger is not a bad thing. It's what we do with it and how it affects us, right? And staying, what's the word, please? Being stuck in being angry or having resentment will absolutely mess with your perspective. So as you release anger and resentment, your perspective changes. And that changes your reality. So this energy, I can't get enough of. It's absolutely, I love it. So each sign, Gemini, you have Six of Swords and the Ace of Swords. So for those of you who are tarot readers, by all means, read them as you will. I'm not a tarot reader. I'm terrible at it. I will tell you the message that came through when I saw it. First and foremost, obviously, it's you're leaving something behind. There's no question about it. But it is it's a belief system. You are letting go of a belief system. Whatever belief system held you back. And this belief system has pretty much everything to do with safety and security. Am I safe? And that belief system, like I said, held you back. And you are moving away from that. And it's not an easy process because in the movement space, the in-between, the transition, that is where you may feel like you're lost, like you don't know who you are, like you don't know where you belong, like you don't know where you fit. It's a very peculiar feeling. You literally don't know where you fit, and that's because your old structure, your part of your identity is being dismantled. You are no longer that person. You are shifting. And in the process of shifting, you are becoming somebody else, except you're not quite sure what that is. But that's not true. Because I know who that is. It's the you minus your shitty belief systems. And when I say shitty, I don't mean disrespect. I mean shitty in terms of the ones that hold you back. But again, I'm going to take it higher level. Everything in life, including shitty belief systems, serve a purpose. Everything is value. And how you look at value in terms of thoughts, what you consider valuable, how you look at yourself as value, and perhaps that's your belief system that you're leaving behind. That is ultimately taking you to a new edge. It's giving you a new edge. And if you've had difficulty climbing mountains all your life, this would be one of those times where you'll climb it and then you'll go, I did it. So this time represents a very, very important space in this timeline, okay? That's all I'm going to say. It's just mind-boggling. Libra, this was interesting. We've got the Temperance, we've got the Moon, and we've got Ace of Wands, new beginnings. You've got two major arcana cards. So there is quite a bit shifting and turning going on inside of you. Emotional revolution, may I say, but look what's happening outside. I'm recording this just at the very end of May. And you can turn on any news program basically and you'll see the chaos that's going on. So there is definitely a sense of uproar, and I feel that in this next little while, it's like you will begin to believe in yourself more. Whether it's because you are beginning to wake up, whatever that means to you, whether it's, when I say there's something in the air, yes, it's this energy. It's big ass potent energy for change. So there is change happening with you in your emotional body. You are becoming much less in emotional turmoil, which allows you to essentially be much more in balance. And you will do this through facing fear. It's like looking something in the eye that you've always been terrified of, and you look it in the eye and you said, I'm not afraid of you anymore. Can you imagine that? That's liberation right there. So you might feel very liberated in the next little while. And the liberation is represented as actually the Ace of Wands, or as a result of this liberation, there's a brand new beginning. I wish I could express to you how this energy feels. It's so opulent in possibilities and opportunities. It's like this energy wants to give. It wants us. It wants all this energy needs from us is to use our mind to create, and it'll be given. That's how powerful this energy is, and I've never felt anything like it. And it's just the time we're in. We're in this incredible moment. Now, I realize that there is someone out there that says, Joanna, you're an idiot. Look at all these people dying. I'm not denying that for 1 second. All I'm saying is that all of this is not for nothing. There is something. This better be for something, as a matter of fact. This better means something better at the end of this. This, so, but it's, and that's why the positive thinking, and I don't mean just spewing up, oh, I believe, no, that's empty. That's why shifting perspective and connecting differently, which allows us to focus our energy in a specific direction. And when we focus on that, the energy is extraordinary in terms of giving us the physical reality of whatever it is we are focusing on. So if we are focusing on anger, we will absolutely bring more anger into our life. No question about it, because that's where you're looking, which means that's what you see. That's what you look out for, On the other hand, if you focus on something other than that, then that's where your focus is. But that does not mean by focusing somewhere else you are ignoring what's going on. No, because it's your backyard. Not focusing or paying attention to is not the same as ignoring. Okay? There's a space for the two. Amazing energy. Aquarius. King of Pentacles and Ten of Swords in reversed. So here's how I saw it. If you've been experiencing some anxiety around work or finances or your physical reality, I feel like you are about to get a handle on it. Either because something will come to your rescue, you will create something, or something is just literally going to click. And it's to do with physical reality. Now, again, what's going on makes perfect sense. If you are one of those people that you would have finances on your mind and you've lost your job, makes perfect sense. But what I'm saying here is this energy, this energy is leading you to feel like the King of Coins. And to me, it's a very stable, solid, financially responsible, and independent person. So for some of you, this means your own businesses, literally. And that could be because of what has happened. If this virus hasn't kicked in, perhaps you would not be in a position to be an independent person with his or her business. So here's an example again of, it's not what you lost, it's what you've gained. This is absolutely out of this world. Okay, that's all I've got for you, I believe. No, one more card. Okay. Well, two more, actually. If you needed more, just in case, we have the world. What's the world? The world means we've come full circle. It's time to start again, except perhaps from a different space. Cycles, circles, movement indicated. We are absolutely in a movement energy like I have not seen one, not since I'm alive, that's for sure, not in this lifetime. And they've been eluding at this since last year for me. And I couldn't quite understand what it was, and I'm slowly starting to realize what it is. It's the vibrational shift, and I can feel it. I can feel it. So that's just to say, yes, we're not going crazy. The turtle is always almost like my omen. It's a water sign, so it's about emotions. It's about, to me, about feeling at home internally within you, to feel at home, to feel good in who you are. And the turtle's back is always indication to me that your home is always in you first. How you feel inside of you first. There's a sense of belonging here. There's a sense of belonging. Slow and steady. This is slow and steady, but definitely movement forward. And this is, how do I say it? What do I want to say with this? I don't know if you ever watched turtles. To me, they're amazing. They're kind of almost like prehistoric. They're very slow. They're very deliberate. They're intelligent beings. And there's just something wise about them. It's not about who you are. It's what you believe. Because what you believe, you are. Whatever you believe you are, you are. Yeah, so the turtle, do some research on the turtle. It's a very interesting totem. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. I loved how this flowed. Again, if you would like a session with me, whether it's energy healing or this type of session, that information is down below. I would be absolutely honored. Do leave comments. I love reading your comments, even though I may not reply I just simply have no capacity. And of course, the higher consciousness link is down below if you would like to stay connected with us to see what programs we're going to be offering, what content. That link is down below. And I wish you a wonderful month of June. Keep in mind, this is not just for June, but if it makes no sense right away, come back to it again a little bit later. It'll probably make more sense. Thank you so much once again, and I'll see you soon.